Hi and good evening. Thank you for watching. I'm Shakil 5858. I am Amibuddham. Now the latest headlines from world channels and news agencies.
Purported leak.
Tonight, the breaking news as we come on the air, bracing for a treacherous ice storm, multiple states, 100 million Americans in the path. The warnings right now from the Midwest right into the Northeast. New York City to Boston, Washington, D.C. up to Philadelphia. All could face a dangerous morning commute tomorrow. Ginger Z standing by with the forecast. She'll time this out. Also tonight, what President Trump and the White House are now saying after the president declared the U.S. would take over the Gaza Strip and that Palestinians should leave. Will there be U.S. boots on the ground? How much would this cost? And would Palestinians be allowed to return? What they're saying now. Tonight, the chaotic moment on Capitol Hill when Democrats called for Elon Musk to testify to explain to the American people what he's doing after being given access to the personal information of millions of federal workers. Tonight, the CIA, the newest agency affected, as millions of federal workers now have 24 hours to respond. Will they take the buyout? And late today at the White House, President Trump signing an executive order banning transgender women from competing in women's sports. Tonight, the passenger accused of cracking a window in midair on a flight to Houston, allegedly punching and kicking it until it cracked. Images here tonight, and in Seattle, the collision on the tarmac. Tonight, dramatic video showing sweeping ice raids in the Denver area. Federal agents swarming apartment buildings, several people taken into custody tonight. Egg prices here in the U.S., the steep prices at the grocery store, the restaurants raising prices too. Waffle House and that 50-cent surcharge per egg. And tonight, news coming in of 100,000 eggs have been stolen, worth 40 grand. In the Northeast, dozens of skiers rescued from a ski lift. They had to use ropes to get them down. In Florida tonight, look at the images, the out-of-control boat spinning in circles, the driver of the boat unconscious. How they saved him. And the countdown to the Super Bowl tonight, the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the 102-year-old fan who just might be the good luck charm. From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Tonight, the fallout after the president says the U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip. President Trump saying he would consider sending in American troops and that the U.S. will own the Gaza Strip, even saying many Palestinians would have to relocate to other countries, floating a vision of the, quote, Riviera of the Middle East. Now the White House walked back, saying the president wasn't committed to putting troops on the ground. Kelly O'Donnell reports from the White House and Richard Engel on the backlash across the Middle East. All as the White House eyes deeper cuts for the federal workforce, including at the CIA and intelligence community. The new airport scare, one flight nearly slashing off the tail of another when they clip wings in Seattle. The investigation tonight. Plus,
I've been shot in my neck and my blood buddies on the floor. But I took the gun away from the weapon. You took the gun away?
Suspect in custody after a 12-hour manhunt after a workplace mass shooting near Ohio State University. We're on the ground. And can those wildly popular weight loss drugs treat addiction? Stephanie Gosk on the cutting-edge research underway. And finally, from the billboards to the ballroom, how Bad Bunny's hits are inspiring so many to get up and dance.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News.
Good evening, I'm John Dickerson.
I'm Maurice Dubois. This image came to mind today. The White House undergoing a massive renovation in 1948.
Now, with a former real estate developer in the executive mansion, another teardown is underway in Washington and beyond, shaking the government as we've known it to its foundations.
Since the inauguration, President Trump has offered buyouts to 2 million federal workers, fired 16 inspectors general, and got rid of Justice Department officials who investigated him.
And he gave billionaire businessman Elon Musk free rein to weed out what they see as waste and fraud. That included shutting down USAID, the agency that provides humanitarian aid overseas. Critics say what's being lost in this government makeover is oversight and expertise.
Margaret Brennan in Washington now. So, Margaret, where does it seem they're going with all of this?
Well, overnight, nearly all of the 10,000 USAID employees who work to feed the world, combat disease, and respond to disasters, they learned they'll be put on leave as of midnight on Friday. And while the first target is foreign aid, it makes up a very small fraction of the federal budget, less than 1%. But it may
That's what your Gaza proposal. A lot of people are talking about. Obviously, everybody loves it.
President Trump giving Gaza-Lago a 5-star review. 47 dropping a game-changing plan to bring stability to the Middle East with a proposed real estate acquisition to have the United States take over the war-torn Gaza Strip and rebuild it into the, quote, Riviera of the Middle East.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out. History is, just can't let it keep repeating itself. We have an opportunity to do something that could be phenomenal. And I don't want to be cute. I don't want to be a wise guy, but the Riviera of the Middle East, this could be something that could be so bad. This could be so magnificent.
Caroline Levitt giving the media some details on the building blueprint for the MAGA Strip.
President Trump is an outside-of-the-box thinker and a visionary leader who solves problems that many others, especially in this city, claim are unsolvable.
Can you explain this reversal and how building and owning Gaza squares with America First foreign policy?
I would reject the premise of your question that this forces the United States to be entangled in conflicts abroad. The president has not committed to putting boots on the ground in Gaza. He has also said that the United States is not going to pay for the rebuilding of Gaza. His administration is going to work with our partners in the region to
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip.
The uproar this Wednesday night over that brazen idea to transform Gaza into an American resort.
Everybody loves it.
What that would mean for millions of Palestinians and the questions about how serious Trump really is. The goal to remove interprovincial trade barriers.
The country is ready. Businesses are ready.
The differences in standards and the changes premiers are calling for. Courtroom chaos. What ignited this brawl? And who is this baby shark's daddy?
Immaculate conception.
The mystery of the fish that reproduced by herself.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening.
Today, world leaders condemn Donald Trump's proposal to take over and redevelop Gaza. New hate speech laws passed the lower house after the government agreed to mandatory sentences for some offences. The Prime Minister in North Queensland as the Defence Force flies in essentials to flood-affected areas. Matilda's captain Sam Kerr tells a London court she felt she was treated differently because of the colour of her skin. And the NFL is coming to Australia with the Los Angeles Rams to play a regular season game at the MCG in 2026. Hello, I'm Melissa McKay. This is ABC News.
24.com.
Hello, you're tuned in to Daybreak on France 24. I'm Cara Scarland. It's good to have you with us. Here's a look at the top stories we're covering. The Trump administration has sought to downplay elements of the US president's announcement that Washington would take over the Gaza Strip and rebuild it, with officials stressing any relocation of Palestinians from Gaza would be temporary. We'll get the latest from Fraser Jackson in Washington. Well, that announcement has drawn condemnation from many in the international community, especially the Arab world, but Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Wednesday there was nothing wrong in the idea of displacing the population from Gaza. And Russian troops are progressing in the eastern Ukrainian city of Chasiv Yar, this despite Ukrainian forces defending it tooth and nail for 8 months. We'll bring you a France 24 report from the front line. Also coming up in focus, baby pygmy hippos have stolen the hearts of many on social media, but in the real world, they're on the brink of extinction. Of the 2,500 remaining, the majority live in the Tai Park in Ivory Coast. However, the reserve is endangered by numerous threats, including gold mining.
Hello, you're watching Sky News. I'm Nick Qureshi. Here are the headlines. Failed by the state, the victims of the Southport and the Nottingham attacks, and the killers who should have been stopped. Valdo Calacane, who took 3 lives in Nottingham, should face a retrial, say their families, as an independent report finds multiple failings in his psychiatric care. And Axel Rudikabana, who killed 3 young girls in Southport, should have had his anti-terror case kept open, says a review. Also ahead, the US president takes aim at another target, trans women in sport, as he signs an executive order that would bar them from female competition. The gunman who killed 10 people at an adult education centre in Sweden is identified. And the fundraising final gig for one of British music's most rebellious and recognisable faces, Ozzy Osbourne. Hello, good morning. 2 reports out. Couldn't have been clearer about the missed opportunity.
This is Asia Now.
Good afternoon. It's 2 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 11:30 in New Delhi and 1 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Ilakia Silveraji. Your headlines this hour. Palestinian and Arab states reject U.S. President Donald Trump's takeover plan for Gaza. Amid global alarm, the White House has sought to soften his proposal. China slams Australia for banning DeepSeek from government devices. South Korea taking similar steps, blocking the AI chatbot's access at the defense and trade ministries. Chinese President Xi Jinping lauds Thailand's effective measures to combat online gambling and fraud. Cooperation on law enforcement and security high on the agenda as he met with Thai Prime Minister in Beijing.
As the M23 rebellion continued advancing into South Kivu in Democratic Republic of Congo following the fall of Goma, the group announced a ceasefire on Monday evening set to take effect on Thursday. Meanwhile, in Goma, public opinion is divided. While some residents express belief and hope for the return for peace, others remain skeptical about the sincerity of the ceasefire. We are very exhausted. If you look at the casualties, there are too many collateral victims. Honestly, we strongly doubt this ceasefire. This ceasefire declared by the M23 is very important for us, the people of Goma. as it will allow all activities to return to normal. There will be no more killings in the city, and everyone can resume their normal lives. That's why the ceasefire is now very important to us. We regret that, despite the ceasefire, the war continues and people are still suffering and fleeing. Honestly, we regret hearing about a ceasefire when we still don't see peace around us. The movement stated that the ceasefire was a response to the ongoing humanitarian crisis in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
The Republican Bloc for the Defense of the Constitution, BRDC, calls for transparency regarding the management of the allegedly 30,000 tons of diesel donated by Russia to the Central African Republic. Martin Ziguele, president of the MLPC and spokesperson of the BRDC, questions why this donation is not reflected in the national budget, given that it was made months ago, even before the budget was adopted. Ziguele points out that it was only mentioned after President Putin referenced it during President Touadera's recent visit to Moscow, and he, as a member of the Finance Committee, has not received any official information regarding the donation. The Central African government is reportedly selling Russian fuel at prices significantly higher than the market rate through a Cameroonian shell company. The BRDC insists that the proceeds from the sale of this Russian donation should be included in the state's financial operations table and used to offset cash flow needs.
The first group of Haitian migrants deported from the United States arrived back in the Caribbean nation on Tuesday. The group arrived by plane at the Cap Haitien Airport on the north coast of Haiti, the only airport still open for traffic in the country. Mario Montez said he had been in the U.S. for almost a year. How did I come to Haiti? I was on the way to work. They asked if I could come to see them because there is a new president and that there were some papers that we had to apply for again. I said yes. I lived in Alaska. I didn't live in Miami. So I went to their office. I saw the handcuffs and they just told me that they were going to send me back to my country. The plane just landed and the deportation
in Cairo, Palestine swiftly rejected and denounced on Wednesday the U.S. proposal that also seeks to take all of the enslaved Prime Minister Netanyahu, where he had planned new settlements for Palestinians on Gaza Strip and for the U.S. to take ownership in redeveloping the war-torn territory into the Riviera of the Middle East. Palestinians, on the other hand, say that Trump's proposal for Gaza violates international law. President Mahmoud called and their inalienable rights, saying that what Trump wanted to do would be a serious violation of international law. Other leaders, like British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, says Palestinians must be allowed to return to their homes in Gaza. The Kremlin also reaffirmed on Wednesday that the creation of a Palestinian state is essential for the Middle East settlement.
The Aga Khan, who assumed the role of spiritual leader for millions of Ismaili Muslims at the age of 20 while studying at Harvard, has passed away at the age of 88. His passing was announced by the Aga Khan Development Network and the Ismaili community, stating that His Highness Prince Karim Al-Husseini, the Aga Khan IV and 49th hereditary Imam of the Shia Ismaili Muslims, died on Tuesday in Portugal, surrounded by family.
Thank you for sparing your precious time. This is Amir Shakil. Have a good life. Bye-bye.